Hey y'all, welcome to the Women Entrepreneurs Living Child Free. I am super very excited to be here today. Leslie, welcome.
Hi, thank you, Tiffany, so much for having me. I'm really excited for this conversation.
And y'all, we are like all across the United States because here I am on the East Coast where, it's almost midday and Leslie is a lot earlier, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's early for me. It's 11 a.m. I'm on the west coast of Canada, so I always try to just be mindful of how early I need to be up.
Yeah, that 3 hour difference, which
Yeah.
is amazing, but that's the only really difference that we have here because we're both women entrepreneurs living child free. It's what brings us together that is absolutely amazing. And Leslie, to kick us off, because we teased this and we need to know. So yeah, Leslie didn't choose teaching. It quietly chose her. The instinct to guide and uplift others showed up much earlier than anyone anticipated. And so we have to know, it says, guess the age when it started. So tell us a little bit about this quietly choosing you, how long it took and all of that path, please.
Yeah, so I think my earliest memory of feeling like, oh, I would like to be a teacher, oh, I would like to be in charge, was when I was 6. I was in first grade, and I just had this idea of, I was next to the blackboard, I was lined up with my peers, and all I wanted to do was pick up the piece of chalk and start. I don't know what I would have taught them about at 6, but the desire to share something with my peers that I was in line with. This just really sticks out in my mind. Then, I mean, you're living life and, you're being a kid and whatnot. And it probably wasn't until I was maybe about 12 or 13 when my dance teacher asked me to assist her classes. So even though the inkling to become a teacher started very, very young, I still started young in terms of assisting sort of as a preteen and early teenager in the dance studio. So, and then it just grew from there. It felt very natural. And I'm always so grateful to my dance teacher because I don't know that I would have necessarily chosen this path. Even still, I sometimes question it, but she saw something in me and my connection to the other students and younger people. And so she asked me to help her as an assistant. So I've been really working with kids, coaching, mentoring, teaching for, we're getting close to 30 years if we're really starting at the assisting level. So it's been a hot minute. When I look back, it's shocking a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes it is. And it's interesting that you bring up from such a young, early age, because I was one of those kids that I was babysitting when I was 10. I don't know that that was legal, but I lived in the country, y'all. The whole neighborhood, there weren't a lot of houses in the country.
Yeah.
At least I was taking care of the kids when they were 10. And now I look at kids at 10 and I'm like,
don't put them in charge.
like it's a really different mindset. But we came from that early entrepreneurship. I mean, I never thought of babysitting as being an entrepreneur, but it certainly was.
Yeah, I will credit the Babysitter Club books I read those as a kid and I was like, oh yeah, of course I could do this. I wish I had a telephone in my room like Claudia did. That seems so cool. Which I never had. But I also grew up in a small rural town, in the prairies. And so, and my family I didn't quite realize where we were financially. I knew we were not as financially well off as a lot of folks in town. But because my parents sheltered me from that, I didn't really think anything of it. But I also wanted my own money to do what I wanted, to buy the things so that I could look like the other kids in my class, that sort of stuff. So that also prompted me. And I was like, oh, I'll get up on Saturday and go teach kids. Like if it means I'm making money and I can go buy that, dating myself, Roxy or Billabong, right? That was and then it moved on.
So in listening to what you're talking about, I'm I feel like you're just a couple of years younger than me. I feel like maybe you're closer to my sister's age because I'm oh yeah, Roxy and Billabong, that totally sounds like my baby sister, which I mean, she's only 5 years younger than me. So I'm not talking a lot of years younger.
Yeah. So it seemed the idea of being in charge of something and making my own money, what I was reading about it. So it seemed very natural that I'm like, oh, these are kids. I'm a kid. I could do this. Which is still basically how I live my life today. I'm like, oh, you're doing that? Oh, I can do that. Oh, okay, I'll just go do it. Okay.
Yeah, I think there's something joyful about being a kid and yeah, let me give it a try. Let me see how it goes. Like, I was playing with some of my little, they're not my cousins because they're my cousin's kids.
Yeah.
But I'm still fun Aunt Tiffanie, or they still call me Aunt Tiffanie.
Nice.
Because like they're 2 and 4 and I'm
of course
46. So it makes sense, the age distinction there. But I'm like, all right, let's play yoga. And so it was funny over the weekend. I played yoga with them for about 30 minutes. And I'm like, this is brilliant because like I got in a full stretching mode. We did all kinds of stuff. And the parents were like, oh my gosh, the kids were like you kept them entertained.
Yeah.
Positively for 30 minutes until one of the dads was like, y'all want to try handstands? I'm like, look, I was not doing handstands. I was doing age appropriate things.
That's such big dad energy of like, oh, why don't we ramp this up to like 1,000? We're like,
oh yeah, and then because he was trying to show off his handstands, and I'm like, no. But so I do have to bring up something though, because you're talking about what you first did, but you're back around kind of helping people dance now, right?
Yes. So I have been a dance educator. I mean, I did start my own classes, like solo classes at 17. So straight out of high school for me. And I have been teaching people dance since I was 17 years old. There's a couple of little holes, time at university and whatnot. But yeah, I own my own studio, Absolute Motion Performance and Dance in beautiful South Surrey, British Columbia. We are a boutique dance studio that I think there's such a spicy. Dance has become something because we see it on television, whether it's through Dance Moms, So You Think You Can Dance, Dancing with the Stars, which has done incredible things in terms of elevating dance to sort of the public. But with that, it comes these stereotypes and things we see on reality television that we know is not reality. My goal in establishing the studio was, we are not a recreation center. There's more than that, but we're also, I don't want you to come in with these ideas of, oh my gosh, it's gonna be so expensive. The teachers are going to be so mean. My kids aren't going to enjoy it, but we're going to have to stick it out. Like all these sort of like mental blocks or negative connotations we have with dance studios. I was like, no. We can be great people. We can build beautiful human beings who are humans first and dancers second. And just because they're dancers second, that doesn't mean they're not great dancers. We just also need them to be great humans. If you teach the human, the dancer follows, and they are pretty incredible as well. There's like I say, a solid 20 years of doing this. I'm like, it's honey over vinegar. It really is. Like, you just get better results through kindness, empowerment, encouragement, and authenticity.
Well, and it's interesting, those few things that you mentioned just in general, y'all, I think that those are the things that make life better.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you bring this up because, for those of you, if this is your first time watching, I don't always get into the child-free aspect of things. However, sometimes when we have people on that are working with children, I do have a tendency to talk a little bit more about kids. And Leslie, you're not our first one. Dominique was on here earlier to talk to us about, because she owns a tutoring company.
Yeah.
Trish is going to be on to talk to us this year sometime soon about helping kids get scholarships using music. And so I love the fact, like, there are some child-free communities out there that are like, we hate kids. And like, that hurts my heart.
Yeah.
They're still a part of society. This is still what we're building to make the world a better place. And just to look at to look at only what is our future and say, ugh, like, talk to us.
Yeah. Well, and like,
world kinder.
I mean, that's why I like working with kids for the most part. It's been a long time. But like that was the thing that kicked it off, right? That somebody saw that I was great. I mean, I was a kid, but I was great with younger people. So that is just where that took me. Now, do I think working with kids my entire life might have played into my choice to maybe not be child free? It's definitely a piece of the puzzle. And at the same time, I don't feel, now I can say, I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything, because I am inspiring the next generation. I'm going to get emotional. I take my job very seriously. I have such an impact. All dance teachers do, or coaches, people who are in these places of authority, where we work with children. We have such an impact in their lives that sometimes we don't recognize that we have, because we assume, if they're with their caregivers or family, I mean, and those are primary people who impact those kids. But I have a really special role in how I can shape and mold and empower kids to be their best selves. And I'm like, I'm not, okay, I might have a couple kids who go on to be professional dancers. I've had some kids, who've gone on to study at university and things like that for dance and move into professional careers. But I am building the next generation. I am creating people who will become of legal age, wherever they are, who are going to vote, who are going to spend their money in their community. And my subterfuge to the culture is, I need them to be empathetic. I need them to take care of their neighbor, take care of themselves. And selfishly, I need them to support the arts. And I need them to vote for things that make our community better. And we know it in our souls and we know it in our hearts. But arts are always the first thing to get stripped from funding. And then I'll remind everybody about how all we could do for like a year and a half was sit in our house and consume art due to a global pandemic. So even after that, I'm like, oh, it's so important that we are building folks who will encourage and support arts and culture, because it's such a part of our human experience, regardless if you think so or not, like, full stop. So yeah. Spicy.
Well, and it's one of those interesting things, because I think people are like, oh, arts, I don't like ballet, or I don't like jazz, or I don't like poems. And like, I've never really been able to get into poetry. Like, I loved me some Where the Sidewalk Ends.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Like, that was some of my favorite poetry. And then as I got older, I'm like, I'm the type, I don't want the symbolism. Like, tell me if it's a duck, it's a duck.
Right.
That's right. The kind of person I am. I'm like, I don't need the symbolism. But you know what? I also joke, because I'm like, I use the same example of, I don't like, when it comes to beer, and I like beer, but I don't like Guinness. Now,
right.
I love this example because I actually have a dog that's named Guinness, because him and his sister look like a black and tan. Oh, and so we joke, we have Harp and Guinness, because it works. And right. I still detest the beer Guinness because it's not my flavor. And I think that, like, especially like the arts or the different kind of beer or craft, anything, is like, well, I don't like that kind of dance.
Yeah.
But it's not that kind of dance is horrendous. It's just not your flavor. Let's try another flavor. Or
yes. And I think so often, and I'm putting myself in this category as well, is when something, especially because a lot of the arts have been elevated to such a level that they seem unapproachable. They seem, hoity-toity. Yes. Like, let's be real. And it's like, so often I hear people say, oh, I don't get it. And so what artists have done in the past, or what art has the ability to do, is to other people and separate us. So they go, oh, I don't like ballet. And I'm like, okay. And maybe you don't understand it. Or, oh, I don't like modern dance. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about it. What do you know about it? Right? Like, what we don't know about is so much easier to say, oh, I don't like it.
Yeah.
And it's just being open and curious and figuring it out. And then also being like, okay, I tried it. It confirmed for me that I'm not into it. But now I'm interested in this. So that I always tell the kids, I'm like, knowing what you don't want is just as important as knowing what you do want. Because if you figure out what you don't want, you're like, great, that can go over there. And now I've narrowed my field and I can kind of figure it out.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Like if it's like, I don't like ballet because I don't want to wear the tights, which is not a thing for real, but it is a thing, then that's a very different story than, you know, I want to be by myself versus with other people.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay. And yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot, there's that, and that's the great thing about art is I'm like, there's something for everyone. There really is something for everyone. And maybe figure out how to, like my husband, like, has been watching contemporary dance for like 20 years and he's an engineer. So like we have a STEM brain and an arts brain in the same house. And he had a really hard time with it because he was only used to like narrative dance and things like this. And now we go to shows and I just enjoy it for whatever it is. And then afterwards, when we're driving home, I'm like, okay, so I know you made up a story, because that's what he needs to do. He needs to create a narrative for himself while he's watching these abstract pieces. And then I'm like, oh, I want to know what you think about this. Because it's so interesting to me. It piques my curiosity and that's what works for him. And I'm like, it doesn't take anything away from the art. It's like looking at a painting and being like, well, I think it looks like an elephant. And the person next to you goes, that's not an elephant, that's a camel.
Or I was even remembering those books. There was a book in my library, I think I was like 5 or 6, and it was a Pegasus, and it was like story, but there was no words. And so every time I got it, it was a brand new book, and I knew it because I got it all the time. But it was like, what's the story going to be today? And so how fun in it. Like, I feel like I want to go to the shows with your husband, because like sometimes I remember we did the Biltmore House in North Carolina. So it's this massive, historically-ish accurate mansion from one of the, you know, American, not founders, but one of the American commercial big guys. And we'll like walk in and sometimes we'd hear the tour, but other times we're like, all right, we're making up our own stories of what this is. And like, to me, that was the fun part of it. Is like, let's let it be what the story is that we want it to be.
Yeah. And that is like creativity at its finest. Like, and that's what I feel like it boils down to. A lot of folks, whether it's in business or you're in STEM, or maybe you work in an office, the idea of creativity can feel so foreign, or something that is playful, or something that is, I don't know, I don't want to say useless. Like, you know, these things that we're like, oh, I'm an adult now. Like, I don't have time for creativity. I don't have time for play. And it's like, oh, okay, yes, I hear you. And that's exactly it. Now we're in this historical house. Am I pretending that I live here? Do I live here? Do I work in the kitchen? You know, these sorts of things, or folks who are really great at creating meals. I'm like, that's your creativity. When you can look at 4 ingredients in your fridge and you're like, oh, I know what to do with this. Or maybe I also think problem solving is so creative. So you might be the person at your office, or even within your own business as an entrepreneur, you're looking at something and then one day you look at it from a different angle and you go, oh, click, 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 and all the puzzle pieces come together. That is creativity. And we've just built this sort of, I mean, I don't mind because I'm on the platform, but like we've built this like creative platform of like, it's not for me, I don't have time, but we fail to recognize how creative we are every day in our businesses.
Yeah. And I think what I am noticing over this past year, as I'm talking to more child-free women entrepreneurs, I think that there is a room for flexibility and creativity that we as child-free have that moms do not. And I haven't really, like, now I'm thinking more about the males, but that's like a whole different conversation.
That's something else, yeah.
And really, it's such an interesting thing. At this event I was at with a mixture of parents, and the women, it felt like they were either talking about their kids or the job they were complaining about. And that was it. I tried to change this up. Now the guys are like talking about fishing and boating, which I don't care about either. And I'm like, I'm going to go play with the kids, which is what I did.
Yeah.
And it's nothing against it, but it's just such an interesting thing of, because I've always felt like a unicorn in the fact that I'm an entrepreneur. And I've worn that since I was starting my business in 2003. So I was 24 when I started my first official labeled with the IRS government,
right.
US business. Plenty of things I've done along the way, but that was like kind of my first. So yeah, we're kind of a little different for the entrepreneur, but then we're also different for the child-free aspect of it. And then when you push the two together.
Yeah. I think the thing that joins women, whether they are child-free or not, is the mental load that we take on, and how that is running in the background of our app brain at all times. Like, I am aware in my household, I am aware that we are low on garbage bags. I am aware that there is recycling upstairs in my ensuite. Tonight is recycling night. I don't know that my husband is clocking that there's recycling to take from upstairs, but I know it's there. It's this mental load that women are able, and it's how our brains work, and it's how we function. And it's just so different. And when you're in that, I'm making a big assumption that when you're in that mother role, like, that is just constant, and the men don't have that, and they have the space for the hobbies and the extras where women sometimes don't. And that's like heartbreaking to me.
Yeah, I wonder if I have it right. Oh yeah, I do. So I'm currently reading. Have you read?
I haven't.
Oh my God. Like, not just, it's literally like their brains, they have two and a half times more sex related cells in their brain than women do.
Yeah.
Which makes sense why they think about sex so much more. And what you're saying, it's so true, because we, like, y'all, I am not, power to the women that came before us to fight for our equality and our rights. And we're getting close to them. And now it's going to be like, yeah, but actually we're so very different now that we've got the science to back it up.
Yeah.
You know, how this is going to come to play is going to be quite interesting
for
us. But I think there's so much going on, and not trying to be the men, not trying to do what they do.
No. And because I think how we work as females is a superpower. Like, it's a friggin' superpower. We have to figure out how to harness it. And there are so many women who have like late diagnosed ADHD, and because we're learning that that's how the female brain works, and we're able to keep 28 million tabs. Like, there's just so much information that we're learning, which is great. And also you're like, could we hurry up? Because I'd love to be able to, I just love some more information before I peace out here. Yeah.
Well, and luckily for us, because I'm learning all kinds of new things, humans and a handful of whales are one of the only species in the animal kingdom that females live past being able to reproduce.
Right.
Now, some chimpanzees can in captivity, but not in the wild.
Right.
Like the belugas and the killer whales, the smartest women species apparently on the planets. We live those years, so we have lots more years for us beyond just childbearing, and we can impact and help those kids out there as well as the ladies. So I know we've talked more what's going on up here. Give us a little overview about your business, so in case we have any amazing folks here out where you're at in British Columbia, they can come and visit you.
Absolutely. So like I say, Absolute Motion, Performance and Dance. Performance and dance was really important to me because I think we're losing the artistry in the dance culture. So that was important to me. Like I say, we're a boutique dance studio. We offer classes for all ages. So from 3 to 93. And I will tell you that my adult ballet class on Wednesday, shout out to those ladies if you watch this, they're my heart and I love them so much. So I love encouraging particularly women, but everyone, to take time for themselves. And I think that's really what I'm trying to do. Carve an hour out for yourself. That's just for you to do something, for you to move your body, not overthink, not worry about anything else, grocery list that can all like stay somewhere else for an hour while you come to the studio. And that's the same for kids as well. Being able to leave the homework, the playground drama, whatever's happening, and come into a space where they can be creative and move their body and fuel their mind at the same time is like I mean, it's why I do what I do. Currently, we offer classes on Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. But I'm also on Instagram because as a leader, coaching is sort of like who I am and what I do. So on my Instagram, I try to just bring inspirational posts, ways of thinking for leaders, coaches, mentors, even parents. I have some like traditional educators who follow me because they're like, oh, you learn how to teach a certain way, and then, sometimes the professional development doesn't really go any further. And I think that's what's so great about being online, is that we can learn from other folks. So, but if you do live in the Lower Mainland of British Columbia, hit me up. And if you want something, I know I'm going to be helping a friend who has a movement birthday party every year. So we're going to host a dance birthday party for an adult, which I'm really excited. I'm really excited to do this new year. So, I'm open to making dance accessible, because I'm tired of people saying, oh, I can't dance, or dance isn't for me, or, I have 2 left feet. That's why we learn. That's why we come to class. No one's expecting you to be perfect. Perfection is not attainable. It is a joyful movement expression. And like, you will meet so many great people and feel so much better after that hour.
And my thing is if you are having fun and enjoying yourself, you ain't paying any attention to anybody else. Like because I love doing my hot yoga, and somebody one day after class was like, oh, did you see me? I'm like,
nope.
I'm like, half the time I close my eyes, I'm like, I'm here on me. I'm like, they're like, did you see Susie was here? I'm like, no. I'm like, they're like, you really are? I'm like, I am here for me. Not, I know not everybody doesn't watch, but I'm like, I just want to be here and use my body and have that fun and stay young. To me, one of the best things that you can do if you want to stay young is move.
I just interviewed a movement coach who specializes in the brain, and I learned so much that I already knew. And he said, dance for neuroplasticity, dance is hands down the best thing to do. You move at different speeds, you move in different directions, you use all different parts of your body. So you're activating like every part of your brain. And I was like, oh, thank you for saying that, because now I don't have to. I have someone else who can say that for me, which is great.
Love it.
Yeah.
Leslie, it has been so awesome. I know you've got your studio. Tell us where we can find you, Instagram, website, all of that again, please.
If you want to find me, I have a website. It's not very pretty, but you can check it out. It's lesliekuny.com. Oh, look at me failing on that. Pretty sure it's .com, lesliekuny.com. I'm also at Leslie Kuny, LESLIEKUNY. That's my Instagram. And if you want to check out the studio, we are absolutemotion.ca. I'm pretty sure that's linked on my Instagram. And I do host a dance-focused podcast called Dancing Through It. Currently, we are on only on YouTube, and we launch every Tuesday. There's a new episode that comes out every Tuesday. And even if you're not a dancer, you might be like a parent, or, with a kid in soccer. There's lots of things that we talk about where there's lots of emotional, anatomical, like human-based things that we're talking about. It's just through the lens of dance. So regardless if you're in arts and culture, I think you can enjoy it as well.
I love it. And that's one of my things I love to do. If I need a little break, I'll tell my person, Google, I have to be too quiet because it doesn't start. Be like, hey, put on this song or that song. And dogs are very much used to me doing a 3-minute time warp or dance party or whatever it may be. Because my brain likes the bouncing and it gets things going.
It does.
So
for sure.
Leslie, thank you so much for being here. Y'all, we hang out in Facebook at facebook.com/group/women entrepreneurs living child free, as well as the third Tuesday of every month. We get together from 11:05 a.m. Eastern to 12:55 p.m. Eastern, giving you a couple minutes before and after, so you make sure you are fully charged. Because when women entrepreneurs living child free get together, they make things happen. Leslie, we look forward to seeing you at an upcoming event. We look forward to seeing you online, and y'all, let's get a little bit of dance on.